Hey everybody, it's your old pal Chuck, and I'm back with another review. And today we're taking a look at something a little fun. This is from the Star Wars Retro Collection. These is Darth Vader and Obi-Wan Kenobi. Now this is how they appeared in the few months recently completed Obi-Wan Kenobi TV show that streamed on Disney Plus. This is Darth Vader, aka from the Dark Times, and this is Obi-Wan Kenobi, the Wandering Jedi. I got these figures from Amazon.com as part of a Cyber Monday sale, which brought their prices to well under $10, even though Darth Vader was still a little bit more expensive, even though they're part of the same wave released at the same time. So if you want to grab them there, you can. Also at deepdiscount.com, I know they were having these on sale for the actually same price as I got them from Amazon, but they were priced the same, which I think was actually around Obi-Wan's price of about $6 and change. So these are based on the original Kenner style Star Wars figures, obviously, but with the updated designs from that Obi-Wan series. So what we'll do now is we'll pause and we'll take a closer look at each figure individually, starting with Obi-Wan Kenobi, the Wandering Jedi. Okay, so here's Obi-Wan Kenobi, the Wandering Jedi, sometimes referred to as OBGYN Kenobi. Very simple figure, obviously, as are most of these retro collections. Does come with a cloth goods robe, and underneath we do see the tunic that he had been wearing in the series. The robe does have a hood that you can bring up and put down. His sword, or I should say lightsaber, is this new, I don't want to say the newer style, but it was basically the kind that they had during Empire Strikes Back and Return of the Jedi. Instead of having the saber coming out of the hand, it's a whole separate piece. Almost looks like a little bit like a riot baton. And it could be held in either hand, but I think it is designed to be held best in the right hand. The blaster, unfortunately, you kind of want to put it in the left hand, but as is the case with these retro figures, the hands are molded differently. So, I mean, it's a little harder to get it into the right hand. But you can do it, especially after you get the saber in there. But putting it in the left hand, it does sit tightly, but it does sit offside. What is nice, and I've seen this even in official Hasbro promotional pics, is even though the holster is not properly functioning, there is a gap there that you can just slide the grip into and have it like that. And there you can have Obi-Wan holstered blaster. So he's just holding his lightsaber. There is no way to store the lightsaber on the figure. As you know, back in the day, weapon storage was not part of the Kenner design. In terms of articulation, these are 5 points of glory figures: arms, head, and then a rather unique hip joint that's been around for like years and years. You really just swivel there. So, yep, that's about it for Obi-Wan. Nice looking figure. It does fit in with the overall aesthetic. So we'll pause and we'll take a look at Lord Vader. Okay, so here's Darth Vader. Now, one thing that a lot of people who had watched the Obi-Wan show mentioned, and I tend to agree with, is that in this series, it was really more like you were seeing Anakin Skywalker in the Vader suit than Darth Vader proper. His movements, the way he used the Force, his fighting skills were still very much like Anakin. By the end of the series, you really did see more of that Darth Vader personality than the Anakin. I mean, another way to look at it, watching Obi-Wan, I felt, and it was, Hayden Christensen in the suit. Watching the later movies, 4, 5, and 6, you got the feeling that it was either James Earl Jones or David Prowse in the suit. Very different movements, very different way of carrying themselves. Much like Obi-Wan, Vader does have the lightsaber that looks more like the baton. Um, this design is based on the early suit looks. I'll be very honest with you. I've never been able to tell the difference. That's why I don't have a lot of those different Vader figures. But apparently, there are differences in the sculpt of the helmet, the layout of its display, and there's even been comics and what have you that have actually explained why the suit has changed, be it due to differences in he gets damaged in battle and what have you, especially early on when he was still learning the ways of the dark side. You have that nice head, cloth goods cape. One funny thing is, as we all know, Vader had a samurai style skirt, and that the way Hasbro does it here is that they've molded into the leg. So you basically have, when you would move the leg, you have the full pieces of the skirt going. So, Vader looks best just standing there. To me, it looks a little bit on the thin side, but again, this is a younger Vader, a little more lanky Vader. The figure is a little bit taller than Obi-Wan. I do believe it can hold the sword in both hands. Again, it's really designed for that right hand, I think. Yeah, it's really designed for that right hand. That's the hand it has. So, obviously, for a lot of people, if they're going to get one, they might go with Vader just because they're, big fans of Darth Vader. And it does look kind of cool. I still would like to get maybe one of those retro style Vaders based on the early Kenner designs with the saber in the hand, just to experience that, because that was a cool play feature back in the day. So I think what we'll do now is we'll pause and we'll come back with my final thoughts. Okay, so I think we all know what to expect really from these figures. Both Obi-Wan and Vader are fun figures that, you know, they are what they are. They're retro style figures. You're not going to get a lot of articulation out of them. A lot of people question the fact that Hasbro does newer characters in that retro style, but seeing as how this show was based 10 years after episode 3, I can kind of see it as that in between point before the original Star Wars and New Hope, so you can have some of the early adventures. And of course, there was the continuity issues, but that's a whole other discussion. Um, at their normal retail price, which is over $15, I find it a little hard to recommend just because these are so simple in design and construction. I mean, the quality is there, but I mean, you guys didn't see it, but I was having trouble getting these figures to stand. Uh, but at the discount that I got them at, which is well under $10 each, and Obi-Wan was like around 6 or 7, I think then they're worth the purchase. Again, as I mentioned, I got these from Amazon.com, but they're available at all online and brick and mortar retailers, but they may not be on sale, so there's always that. That's about it for the review. If you like this review, please consider liking, commenting, and subscribing. While I will always appreciate the views, the likes, comments, and subscriptions help to communicate to YouTube through their algorithms that my channel should be exalted and held upon high. If you want to make the ultimate sign of support, I do have a Patreon. It is www.patreon.com/chuckdog1999. All I ask for is $1 a month or $12 a year. No thrills, no tears, no special rewards. All you're doing is helping me help you to help me help you bring figures like this to you and keeping up the infrastructure of the channel. If you watched my live stream this morning, or the morning of this recording, which is November 30th, I did show off a new tripod that I picked up, and that is in no small part thanks to the support of my Patreons and the viewers of this channel. But as I always say, if you cannot do the $1 a month or $12 a year, I know times are tough right now. There is inflation, and we're in the middle of a recession. Your views are more than thanks enough. Patreon is already a cherry on top of an already generous sundae. So that's about it. This is your old pal Chuck for Darth Vader and Obi-Wan Kenobi. We will see you next time.